Have you ever given your time or your heart to someone only to feel used, drained, and invisible afterward? As we get older, our capacity to help others becomes more precious, not just because our energy is more limited, but because our peace of mind becomes more important than ever. And yet some people will keep taking, asking, and expecting without giving you a moment's care in return. If you're over 60, protecting your emotional space is not selfish, it's survival. This video isn't about turning your back on people who need love. It's about recognizing the types of people who quietly chip away at your well-being, your time and your dignity, and learning when and how to say no without guilt. Because helping the wrong people can rob you of the very peace you've earned in this stage of life. We're going to talk about 7 types of people who often show up with a smile, but leave with your energy. Some do it by accident, others do it on purpose, but the result is the same. You feel smaller after they leave than before they arrived. If you've ever left a phone call or visit feeling more tired, more anxious, or more frustrated than you were before, this video is for you. Stick with me, because what we're about to go through could be the difference between a drained, resentful old age and one that's peaceful, respected, and strong. Let's begin. Person 1, the chronic borrower. Some people don't need your love, your advice, or your presence. They just need your wallet. And the thing is, they never say that out loud. They call it a favor, a small loan, a one-time emergency. And because you're kind, and because you've known them for years, you help again and again. The chronic borrower often hides behind politeness. They don't come in demanding. They usually wrap their requests in guilt or urgency. I wouldn't ask if I had another choice, they'll say. You're the only one I trust. But you notice the pattern. Somehow they always have a new crisis, and you always end up the solution. But they never pay it back. Not the money, not the time, not even a proper thank you. Psychologically, this behavior plays into your natural desire to be useful. When you're older, especially after retirement, you may want to feel needed. You want to believe you still make a difference in someone's life. That's beautiful, but it also makes you vulnerable. Chronic borrowers sense this, and they exploit it. They don't want to solve their own problems. They want someone to carry the load for them. It's not about refusing to help anyone. It's about noticing when your help is never enough, when someone is always in need, but never changes their behavior. You're not helping anymore. You're enabling. And enabling destroys 2 people, you and them. Take Bill, for example. He's 73 now, living off his pension and Social Security. For years, his nephew would drop in with one reason after another. Car broke down. Rent short this month, just need a little until Friday. Bill would always pull out his checkbook. But one day, Bill realized something. It had been 7 years. 7 years of one-way giving, while his nephew never changed a thing. No new job, no new plan, just a new excuse every few months. So Bill stopped. It was hard. He felt guilty. He worried he was being cold. But do you know what happened? His nephew found a way. Because when the free ride ended, responsibility began. And Bill, he finally started using his money on something that truly needed it, his own health. Don't feel bad about closing your wallet. Protecting your boundaries doesn't make you cruel. It makes you wise. Person 2, the emotional leecher. There's a kind of person who never asks for money, never shows up with a request you can measure, but they drain you just the same. These people don't want your cash. They want your energy, your time, and your peace of mind, and they'll take as much as you let them. The emotional leecher always has a problem. Always. And somehow you're the one they call first. They're overwhelmed. Their health is in crisis. Their kids don't respect them. Their friends betrayed them. Their boss is unfair. Their life, in short, is a mess, and you've become their unpaid therapist. At first, it feels like you're helping. You're a good listener. You give thoughtful advice. But notice what happens next. Do they take your advice? Do they show even the slightest interest in your life? Or do they just dump their emotions on you, then vanish until the next meltdown? Older adults are especially susceptible to this kind of drain. As our circles grow smaller, we tend to cling to whoever still calls. Even if those calls only come with baggage, even if after every call you feel exhausted, not uplifted, that's not a relationship. That's a transaction where only one person benefits. There's a term psychologists use, emotional labor. And when it's constantly one-sided, it can take a real toll on your mental health. Chronic stress from emotional leeching can even raise your blood pressure, reduce your sleep quality, and weaken your immune system over time. Look at what happened to Linda, 68, in Ohio. She had a neighbor, same age, who stopped by almost daily. At first, they bonded over coffee, but the visits became longer and darker. Every conversation was about something going wrong. Her neighbor never asked about Linda's life, never offered support in return. It got to the point where Linda felt dread when the doorbell rang, until one day she made a change. She stopped answering every time. She started putting her peace first. And guess what? She felt better, more energy, clearer mind. Even her daughter noticed the difference. Because emotional weight, just like physical, can crush you if you never set it down. You don't owe anyone your emotional bandwidth, especially if they never give any back. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Person 3, the guilt tripper. These people know how to use one powerful tool better than anyone else. Guilt. They won't beg you directly. They won't even ask plainly. Instead, they'll say things like, "I just didn't think you'd forget about us," or "It must be nice to have all that free time now." And before you know it, you're doing something you never wanted to do just to avoid feeling like the bad guy. What makes guilt trippers dangerous isn't just what they want from you, it's how they make you feel after. Even when you help, there's no joy, no gratitude, just a quiet undertone of "you owed me this," as if you were always one favor behind. This kind of manipulation is especially harmful in old age because it preys on your soft spots, your sense of duty, your desire to stay connected, your longing to feel useful. And those are beautiful parts of you. But in the wrong hands, they're weapons used against you. Some guilt trippers are family. Some are old friends. Others are people you barely know, but who've decided that your kindness is something they can tap into again and again. Take George, 74, from Florida. A friend from his church started showing up at his door, asking for small favors, rides to the pharmacy, help setting up a TV, a little yard work. Nothing huge. But every time George hesitated or said he was busy, the friend would sigh and say, "I just thought Christians were supposed to help." That one line was enough to get George back on the hook, until he finally recognized what was happening. Boundaries aren't just important. They're a form of self-respect. And guilt trippers hate boundaries because it means they have to stop treating your kindness like a free vending machine. You can be kind without being a doormat. You can be generous without being guilted into it. In fact, real generosity only happens when your yes comes from joy, not pressure. If someone keeps making you feel like you owe them, that's not your person. That's a user in disguise. And in this stage of life, you've earned something better than guilt. You've earned peace. You've earned freedom. And you deserve relationships that honor that. Person 4, the emotional leech. These are the people who don't want your money, your time, or your help. What they want is your emotional energy, and they'll drain it until you feel like there's nothing left. You know the type. Every phone call is about their crisis. Every visit turns into a therapy session. And no matter what advice you give, no matter how many hours you spend listening, they never seem to get better. That's because they're not looking for solutions. They're looking for a place to unload. And if you're not careful, that place becomes you. In your younger years, maybe you had the strength to be that shoulder all the time. But as we grow older, our emotional reserves matter more. You need space for your own peace, your own growth, your own joys. And when someone constantly fills that space with their storms, you start to live in their weather instead of your sunshine. Sometimes these emotional leeches are family, an anxious daughter who calls every night just to vent. Sometimes they're friends who never ask how you are, because they're too busy talking about their own drama. And the hardest part, you might feel bad turning them away, because you're kind, you care, and they know that. But here's the truth. You're not their therapist, and you're not responsible for fixing their life, especially not at the cost of your own mental peace. Let me share the story of Helen, 68, from Colorado. She had a neighbor who started coming over almost every evening just to talk. At first it was friendly. Then it became an hour of complaints about his health, his job, his ex-wife. Helen, trying to be polite, kept listening, until one night she realized she was dreading 6 o'clock like it was a dentist appointment. That's when she knew it had to stop. She learned to say, "I'm not in the space to talk right now." And the world didn't end. Her peace came back. Boundaries are not cruel. They are clarity. And emotional leeches hate clarity because it means their endless draining has to come to an end. So if someone in your life always leaves you feeling more tired, more anxious, more heavy, take note. That's not a real connection. That's emotional labor. And your energy is too precious to keep spending on someone who never refills the tank. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Person 5, the manipulator in disguise. They come off charming, even generous at first. But pay close attention, because behind every compliment, every favor, there's a string attached. And once they've got that string tied around you, they'll pull it whenever it suits them. This is the kind of person who flatters you just enough to earn your trust. Maybe they call you so wise or say you're the only one they can count on. They make you feel special, but only so they can ask for something next. A ride, a loan, a favor that slowly grows into a pattern. And if you hesitate, suddenly you're not the person they thought you were. Manipulators don't always raise their voice. They're more likely to guilt you softly, with lines like, "I didn't think I'd have to explain it to you," or "I guess I just care more than you do." And the more you help them, the more they expect. It never ends. Older adults are often prime targets for this kind of behavior, especially if they're kind-hearted or lonely. You might not see it as manipulation. You might just think you're being helpful. But look at the pattern. Do they give as much as they take? Or are they always setting the stage so they come out ahead? I knew a man named Ed, 82, who had a younger cousin that would visit once a week. At first it was friendly, just catching up. But slowly it turned into errands, then money, then borrowing Ed's car just for a few days. By the time Ed caught on, the cousin had stopped pretending to be grateful and started acting entitled. "I thought we were family," he'd say, whenever Ed pushed back. But family doesn't trick you into silence. Family doesn't see you as a resource to be used. Here's the rule: if someone only praises you when they want something, that's not love. That's strategy. And you don't owe your peace of mind to someone else's game plan. In your older years, trust becomes even more sacred. So don't be afraid to protect it. If someone's behavior makes you feel uneasy, don't ignore it just because they smile when they ask. Smiles can be masks. Stand firm in your right to say no. No explanation needed. Just no. You've earned a life where your kindness is respected, not exploited. Person 6, the always in crisis drainer. They never seem to have a good day. Every phone call, every visit, every message is another emergency. And somehow, you always end up being the one they lean on. At first, it might feel good to be needed. You might even feel like you're helping. But over time, their constant chaos becomes your burden to carry. This is the kind of person who thrives on drama, whether they mean to or not. There's always a new problem. Their rent is late. Their boss was unfair. Their partner left again. Their health scare just got worse. And through it all, they expect you to drop everything and be there. Now, don't get me wrong. We all go through hard times. And being there for someone you love is one of life's great honors. But there's a difference between someone going through a tough season and someone who turns every season into a storm. They expect you to walk through with them. What makes this dangerous in old age is that our energy isn't unlimited. Your time, your rest, your peace of mind, these things matter more now than ever. And if someone's constant problems are making you anxious, exhausted, or depressed, then they are not just hurting themselves. They're hurting you too. Take the example of Karen, 74, who had a childhood friend named Lisa. Lisa called every day, sometimes multiple times. At first, Karen listened patiently. Lisa was lonely, she understood. But as the weeks turned into months, Lisa's stories grew darker. She'd talk for hours about betrayal, medical fears, family drama. Karen began losing sleep. She stopped walking with her neighbors. Her mood changed, and she didn't even notice it until her daughter said, "Mom, you're not yourself anymore." That's the thing. These people don't always mean harm. But that doesn't mean you're obligated to sacrifice your well-being for their emotional chaos. You are not a rescue boat for someone else's permanent storm. It's okay to set boundaries. To say I care about you, but I also have to take care of myself. And if that pushes them away, then maybe the relationship was never truly balanced to begin with. Protect your peace, because in these years, peace is more valuable than ever. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Person 7, the one who keeps you stuck in the past. They always bring up the old days, always remind you of who you used to be, what you used to do, and sometimes what you can't do anymore. It might sound innocent at first, just nostalgia. But over time, their words start to feel like chains instead of memories. This is the person who says things like, "You were so sharp back then," or "Remember when you used to do everything on your own?" And when you try to grow or change, they pull you back. "You're too old for that now," they might say. Or, "What's the point at your age?" What they don't realize, or maybe they do, is that this kind of talk quietly steals your confidence. It keeps you from trying new things, meeting new people, or even just believing that better days can still lie ahead. They freeze you in a version of yourself that no longer serves you and make you feel guilty for wanting more. This becomes especially harmful in old age because the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what's still possible shape everything. And if someone keeps feeding you a story that says your best years are behind you, you might start to believe it. And that belief can slowly rob you of joy, growth, and hope. Think about Harold, 79. For years, he played chess at the park. But after a stroke, his hands weren't as steady. His old friend George told him, "You should give it up. You're not like you used to be." Harold listened. He stayed home, watched the world pass him by, until one day a stranger invited him to a community game night. No pressure, just fun. Harold gave it a try, and he laughed more in one evening than he had in months. All because someone finally saw who he could be, not who he was. The truth is, aging doesn't mean shrinking. It doesn't mean fading. It means evolving. And anyone who tries to keep you trapped in old definitions of yourself, no matter how sweet their words may sound, is not helping you. They're holding you back. You deserve relationships that nourish your present and support your future, not ones that keep you stuck in a rearview mirror. And that's it. Those are the 7 types of people you should never feel guilty for stepping away from in your later years. It's not about bitterness. It's about boundaries. It's about choosing peace, growth, and purpose over guilt, pressure, and old patterns. Final thoughts. Getting older doesn't mean becoming weaker. It means becoming wiser. And part of that wisdom is learning when to let go, not out of anger, but out of love for your own life. You've spent decades giving, your time, your care, your energy. You've been the helper, the listener, the fixer. But now it's your time to protect your spirit, to stop carrying people who don't carry you, to walk away from those who drain you, guilt you, disrespect you, or simply can't see the full person you are today. Some people will try to make you feel selfish for saying no. But remember, self-care is not selfishness. It's strength. And it's the kind of strength that allows you to enjoy the years you've worked so hard for. You've earned the right to peace, to healthy relationships, and to a life that lifts you, not weighs you down. And if anyone ever questions that, just remember this: your life is your own, and you don't owe it to anyone who doesn't respect it. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.